You're good.
Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for taking some time out at the end of the day. It's sunny outside, so we'll make sure to keep this brief, but we want to make sure that we help educate and help you all feel as though you can make the most out of your 401k plan. My name is Rafiq Fuad. I'm a certified financial planner with First Pacific Financial. Darren Farrell is here with me. Darren's been helping with this 401k plan since back in 2002. And really today we're just here to take some time to stop, think about retirement. And retirement means many different things to many different people. For some, it's just the ability to not have to wake up, punch the alarm clock. Others are thinking that they want to spend more time with family. Others just want to go fishing, spend some more time in their shop. Really, my point is I just want you to think about how you're going to spend your time once you're no longer working, if you're getting near to that time. And I want to, if you're younger, help you start to think about putting yourself in a position to get to start thinking about how you want to spend that time. Right? And just think about what's that's going to look like for you. So today what we're going to do is we're going to go through a brief economic update. We're going to talk about some best practices for retirement planning, help you understand your 401k plan because every plan is different. We'll go through an interactive web demonstration so that you understand how to log in, how to interact with it online. And then finally, we'll go through what your next steps are. So, economy. We like to track where the cranes are because that shows you where the activity is. And really the West Coast has been where it's at for the past, I'll say 8-9 years. Seattle has the most cranes in the entire country. Seattle has had the most cranes in the entire country for a few years now. But it's not just in Seattle. It's all over the West Coast. Right here, closer to us in Portland, and actually right here in Vancouver. And Vancouver and Clark County, doing very well. We got hit the hardest during the recession. We've come out of it extremely strong. On the right-hand side, you'll see that bankruptcies are going down to the lowest point they've been at in more than 20 years. There's more people moving here every year. There's more permits than there has been recently. So permitting is starting to go up again. Manufacturing wages are going up. And even visitors are coming just to stay at our hotels, and hotel occupancy is up as well. And what you're looking at now is a time lapse of the waterfront project that's going on right on the side of the Columbia River. And what this represents is $1.5 billion with a B being invested right here in Vancouver. And I'm sure you've seen a lot of people going out and working on this project. And that's not just, what we're watching right now is probably the first 20% of that. And so, again, it's not just the construction that's going on down there. It's going to be hotel jobs and restaurant jobs and all kinds of different industries that are going to benefit from this investment.
Yeah, guys, this is a huge construction project for Vancouver. $1.5 billion is a lot of money spent. And like Rafiq said, we've got less than 20% in the ground right now. So there's a lot more coming to this. You guys know the school bond stuff just passed for $800 million. So there is a lot of good work moving forward. And why is that so important to you guys? Obviously, because you're in this industry. It protects your jobs. It protects your income. It creates quite a bit of overtime, I hear lately. And lots of things to make things go much better. And guys, the important point here too is to talk about Clark County, Northwest is moving. The rest of the country isn't moving like that. Okay, so you're not. So in other words, you be getting worried about, gosh, things are really good. It's going to get bad. I don't think that way right now. Carrie and I were talking, and I deal with a lot of construction companies, and they've got a lot of business on their books for a number of years right now, and that's not normal, okay? A number of years out is not normal for backlog. It's usually, I don't know for your business, but for overall construction, you usually don't see stuff go much out past 2 to 3 years max. and this stuff's pushing out even past that. So it's pretty good.
That's a good point, Darren. You know, as he mentioned, I hear a lot from investors. When's the other shit gonna drop? You know, we've had some good times for the past few years. We know it goes good until it doesn't. And, you know, I wish I could tell you when that's going to happen, and I can't. We really don't know how long this will last. But there is a tendency to believe that it has to stop soon. And what we're looking at now is the strength of U.S. expansions going back 70 years. And we're actually on the lowest line there. It's the light blue line you see at the bottom. And so it's true, this is becoming one of the longest expansions in our economy's history over that 70 years. But one way that I've heard it explained that kind of helped me is that it's kind of hard to hurt yourself falling out of the basement window. I'm not saying you can't hurt yourself, I'm just saying you don't hurt yourself as much. And what I mean by that is our economy's been growing at about 1 to 2% for the past 8-9 years. And that's lower than what it has been historically. And so even though, yes, we are growing as far as time is concerned, it's been a long time, we've been growing slowly, right? So there hasn't been that excess built up in our economy.
But the good news to that, guys, is that we're not seeing anything. There's no bubble out there. There's no look of a drop off. And like Rafiq said, when it drops off, it can't drop off that far. But the other important point to this is not that it's not dropping off that far. It's that we're heading the other way, guys. From March to March now, where the new normal that you guys heard about years ago, what is 1 to 2% growth. Okay, we're swinging the other way. From March to March right now, it's back to 2.9%. 3% used to be the normal GDP growth. And so we're swinging back that way, not the other way.
Yeah, and that's not just unique to the United States. What we're looking at now is what we call manufacturing momentum, and they take a survey of purchasing managers of manufacturers throughout the world. Red implies that they're expecting a contracting activity. Green implies that they think, hey, activity is building up. And in the developed world and in the emerging markets, right now there's what you consider global synchronized growth. And so, again, this information is at best helpful. It's not in stone, but all signs point to that this is going to continue. So with that said, what does that mean for you when you're trying to think about how to build and protect the money that you want to set aside for retirement? And before we go into that, which I will answer here in just a few moments, I want to just introduce a couple of thoughts for you all to think about. Some larger concepts that are important to know as you're thinking about retirement. Here we're looking at life expectancy probabilities. And this is saying if you're 65, what are the odds that you're going to live till 75, 85, 95? And if you're married, the odds of your living, at least one of you, one of the two of you, living to age 90 is about half. So really the concept of, the odds of your living to age 95 or one of you living to age 95, 1 in 5 of you will have at least one spouse live that long. So that's a 30-year period that you're saving for, and that's a long time, right? So it becomes a much longer time. When Social Security was started, the full retirement age was 65. Do any of you know what the life expectancy was at that time?
Less. You're close. Really good guess.
That was the best guess that I've heard. Actually, I've been talking about this for about a year now, so well done. But it's 60. So most people weren't expected to live long enough to collect their Social Security. So just be aware that our life expectancy has gone up considerably, and that's a good thing. However, it just means that it's a longer period of time that we're trying to save for. On the flip side, I know what you're all thinking. Well, that's great. I'm just going to work till the day I die. And that's actually...
I wasn't thinking that.
Well, I've heard that a lot too. And actually, that's true for most Americans. Most Americans will say, I'm going to work until age 65 or later. 3 out of 4 of them will. However, only 1 out of 4 people actually gets to work that far. And that's a nice thought if you think about, well, great, they got to retire early. However, often it's not because of choice. Often it's because they get pulled out of the workforce due to a health event. And that might not even be to themselves. It might be a health event of a parent. It might be a health event of a spouse. And so the reality is there's a longer period of time that we have to save for retirement and a potentially shorter period of time to do so. And so introduce the concept of the 401k and being able to save into it. Just as a reminder of what a 401k is, this is a chance that the government's trying to help incentivize us to not need the government in retirement. And they're doing that by giving you a tax deduction this year on the money that you're saving, or they're saying, don't take the tax deduction this year, but then that money will grow every year based on your investment performance. You don't pay taxes on that growth every year, and then when you go to pull it out in retirement, you can pull it out tax-free. One is the pre-tax 401k, the other is the Roth 401k. Both of them are tax incentivized because the government doesn't want elderly people coming to the government, really, in their old age. And so as a society, we want to help people save for themselves. And so that's what a 401k is. In addition to that, that money that you set aside for your own retirement is protected from creditors. Nobody can ever take that from you. Even if you ever, again, if somebody was to file for bankruptcy, the money set aside for retirement is protected. So this is money that you're setting away in a lockbox for your older self.
That comment excludes a spouse, obviously, because if you get a divorce, that's not protected.
Creditors, well, good point. Well, and so the answer of how do you make the most of this is to save early and save often. And so here we're looking at 4 examples. We've got Chloe, Lila, Quincy, and Noah. And I've got little clever names to help you realize which one is which. Chloe saves $5,000 a year for 20 years. She saves a total of $200,000. She earns a very modest
40 years.
200 for
40 years.
40 years. She saves a total of $200,000. And in this assumption, she earns 6%. That's a far lower rate of return than the lifetime returns on the funds available in your 401k plan, but we want to be conservative in this example. So she earns 6%, and she does really well. She ends up with more than 4 times than what she put in. She ends up with over $800,000. Now, the next 2, Quitter Quincy and Late Lila, they're the next lesson I'd really like to drive home here. And that is Quitter Quincy saves for only 10 years, $5,000 from the time he's 25 to 35. So that's $50,000 total. And just stops making contributions, and just leaves his money alone until retirement. Now, Late Lila doesn't start until she's 35, but that's great. She starts. She starts the process, saves $5,000 a year, saves the whole time until she's 65. That's a total of $150,000. Now, what a lot of people are surprised by is the fact that Quitter Quincy ends up with pretty much as much money as Late Lila. And that's because it really is less about timing the market, and it's more about time in the market. So Quitter Quincy had all 40 years in the market for his money to compound on itself. Whereas Late Lila, just that last 10 years, missing out on that 6%, didn't give her that opportunity for that last doubling factor. And so the message here is to save early and save often. Finally, I want to point out Nervous Noah. Nervous Noah saves for the full 40 years, $5,000 a year, total of $200,000. But Nervous Noah did not want to watch his money fluctuate in the market, didn't want to take the risk of seeing that fluctuation, and so he just saved in the cash account, he earned 2% on his money, and he ends up with $308,000. So there is a cost of being too conservative, but that said, Nervous Noah still took advantage of the tax deferral and he still took advantage of the ease of the payroll contributions. Because I forgot to mention, the reason that 401ks are such a great tool is because you just get to set it and forget it. It gets automatically saved out of your paycheck. It's not like you need to go write a check to save this money. And that's why it's such an easy tool and why it helps so much. So with that said, there's some ideas, some guideposts along the way for you to try and hit as you're nearing retirement. One is you want to save roughly about 15% of your income each year while you're working. Now, Prairie has an excellent opportunity in that they are making profit sharing contributions of roughly 4%. Now, that's offset by any prevailing wage contributions, but that 4% contribution you're getting means that you only need to save 11% of your income to hit that target. And that's a twofer because not only are you saving that money for your future, but you're also not spending it. And so when you do go to replace your income, you only have to replace 85%, right? Or in that case, 89 if you were saving 11. Now you're doing that because you're going to want to try and accumulate 10 times your income before retirement. So if you make $50,000 a year, that's $500,000. If you make $75,000 a year, that's $750,000. And the reason you're doing that is because in retirement, almost half of your income is going to be from accounts like this 401k account, or from another type of savings account, like in the bank or so. But that money, Social Security alone won't cover all of your expenses in retirement. So you want to try and set aside that money early. And then finally, when you do start to take withdrawals from your 401k, you're going to want to withdraw only about 4.5%. That's the number that we think is sustainable, that you'll be able to adjust for inflation and withdraw forever. Not everybody wants to leave that pile of money intact for their kids upon their passing, in which case I would say that you can, as you get older, start to take larger and larger withdrawals from that. However, you don't want to take out too large of withdrawals too early because the sequence of returns in your retirement are important. If you retire and you have some negative years early on, it really has a damaging effect to your ability to keep taking that income indefinitely. We want to make sure that you don't outlive your money. So, with that said, we talked about some best practices for retirement planning. I want to talk a little bit about your 401k here at Prairie. So you might be asking, am I eligible? Well, just ask yourself two questions. And, I moved backwards, I'm sorry. Ask yourself two questions. Am I over 19? Have I worked here for more than a day? And if the answer is yes to both of those, then yes, you are eligible to start saving into the 401k plan. And you'll join the plan at the beginning of the following month after you pass both those two criteria. Now, to get the profit share contribution that I was talking about, that 4%, you have to be here for 1 year. And that's from date of hire, not from the date that you start saving into the plan. You can change your deferrals anytime. And a lot of people seem to think that there is a limit on how much they can save into a 401k plan, like you're maxed out at 15% of your income. It's actually not the case. It's about the dollar amount. You can actually save your whole paycheck, up to $18,500. You're over 50, you can put in an additional $6,000.
And that's the elective contributions, not the employer.
Yep,
Correct.
That's all you. Exactly. Thank you. It's a good question. People might wonder, can I roll in money from a previous employer? Yes, you can move in qualified plans that are 401ks or 403bs and IRAs. The only thing you can't roll in is a Roth IRA. Speaking of Roth IRAs, people are asking, what should I do? Should I do a pre-tax deferral or should I do a Roth deferral? Just as a reminder again, pre-tax deferral means you get a tax deduction this year. So if you make $50,000 a year, you save $5,000 into it, you'll pay taxes this year on $45,000. And when you go to withdraw that money in retirement, you'll pay taxes on it as you make withdrawals. So if you're 67 years old and you pull out $10,000, you'll pay taxes then on that $10,000. As opposed to a Roth, you make $50,000 this year, you save $5,000, And this year, you pay taxes on the full $50,000. However, all of the growth on that money from now, after retirement, until retirement, is tax deferred. And then when you go to pull the money out, it comes out tax free.
Yeah, technically.
And so, again, you make that decision based on when do you think your taxes are going to be lowest? Because I want you to pay your taxes when they're going to be lowest. Most people are in a lower tax bracket when they retire. So most people benefit the most from taking the tax deduction right now. In some cases, there are people that have 8 children, or they've got a lot of tax credits because of their children, or they're inheriting a business, or they've got some extraneous circumstance that changes that to where they'll actually be in a higher bracket. And that's something that we can talk to you about on a one-on-one basis as to if that applies to you. But for the vast majority of people, you want the deduction right now.
Yeah, but another important point, guys, is that on the Roth, it's tax-free at the end. So if you are big house payment, kids, okay, you're not paying much tax. So that probably makes the most sense to do a Roth, okay? The other important point that you have is that all your employee contributions, all your prevailing wage, all your Davis-Bacon, all your 4% profit share is all traditional, okay? So having some Roth there, anybody that thinks they're gonna be a good saver, Roth's probably the better way to go. If you're not gonna be a good saver, and what I mean by a good saver, I mean somebody that saves a lot for retirement. If you plan on saving a lot and having a great retirement, the Roth's probably the better way to go.
Darren makes a good point that certain life factors are in play, right? Like you got the house payment, you got the kids in the house. This isn't a for life choice. So you can be going Roth right now for the next 3 years and then change it to deferral to get the tax deduction 3 years from now.
Yeah, and the advantage of that, guys, is that in the future, you can kind of plan your tax strategy versus the government planning it for you. You can take some Roth, some traditional, and control how much tax you pay. So you're not going to get hurt taking Roth. But in a situation where your deduction is, your tax rate's much lower when you retire, Roth's not quite as good. But if your tax situation's about the same or worse, the Roth's much better.
Big point here is if you have a question on that, please talk to us on a one-on-one basis. We can help you make that decision. So, do I get to keep the employer contributions if I change jobs? Any money you put in the plan, you get to keep. Any prevailing wage contributions, you get to keep. However, any of that 4% profit share contribution I was just talking about, those are subject to a vesting schedule. And that is right here. So basically, after 6 years, you're 100% vested. Again, that's from date of hire. That's not from when the contribution is made. And so after 6 years, it's all yours. After 4 years, you get to keep 60% of that money. So we went through the economic update, got best practices. We helped go through the parameters of your 401k plan. Now, I'd like to call this an interactive web demonstration because for those of you that have your cell phones and want to download the Empower app, I'd welcome you to do that right now if you like. But I'd also like to just walk you through what it looks like on the desktop when you log in. So as you become eligible, you'll get an email from Empower asking you to join the website. The website is empowermyretirement.com. And this is what it looks like. You'll see a picture of an alien when you get there. But right now we're going to go through the demo. And so it looks a little different, but this is how it works functionally. And that is, we're going to click on this register button for those of you who haven't done this yet. And when you get to that page, you'll click and enter your social security number. You'll add your zip code. Type in your last name. We'll say this is Mr. Electrician. We'll add their date of birth. And then we'll add the numeric portion of their address. This person's address is P.O. Box 504, so we're just going to add 504 there. If you lived on 2469 Whitworth Avenue, you would just put the 2469. And we'll hit continue.
Can I interrupt you for a second?
Yeah, please.
There are 3 Empower apps, none of which look like that.
We would want the one that has this emblem. I'll talk to you after. I'd like to go right now. I will.
I'd like to follow along.
Yeah, it's Empower Retirement. Again, it'll look like this app. It'll have that effect. And are you on an Android?
Yep.
So I apologize. That will be out and available later on this year. Not yet. But they have it for the Apple phones right now. But that's coming. You'll be able to interact with your 401k through your phone
So
soon.
they actually picked up Apple as a client, and that was one of the provisions, so that's why it went on Apple first.
But they'll have it on the Android one before the end of the year. So sorry to tease that too soon. Too soon. Too soon on my end. Yes. And so on the desktop, the next thing you'll do is you'll add your email address. I'll add mine here. Add your phone number. Create a username. Create a password. Another password. And then click register. Bless you. I'm not going to save that password. And we are kicked out for a second. I have to log in. There we are. And this is what it will look like when you log in. I know that you won't see those last 3 steps.
And the other thing, guys, is too, I stopped, but that was 1 minute and 43 seconds for you guys to get logged on. So I mean, it's not I just timed them on that, and it's the same in time type thing. And then I'm gonna just time them again to kind of show you just a quick demo and how you guys can use it. But I mean, you're talking about an investment of less than 5 minutes probably to get everything dialed in right. But anyway, go ahead, Rick, I'm gonna start again.
Now, this is pretty neat in that it pulls in your income. It already knows that because they're submitting that information to Empower, and so you'll see what your current salary is listed at. And what that's going to start with is saying that you have a 75% goal of needing 75% of your income in retirement. That's true for most people. That's a good starting point. But if you look at that number and say, hey, that's too low, I need more when I retire, you can increase that to 85%, or you can notice that 3,400 changed to 3,800. You say, no, I'm not going to need that. I only need 50% of that. And that's what's changing this number. But again, 75% is a good starting point for most people. So we're going to go ahead and move on from there.
Your slide with the road on it, how come it said 45%?
What that's saying is 45% of your income in retirement is going to be coming from retirement accounts. So it's not a perfect match on those two numbers there. But that actually leads me to what I'm saying here, which is what you'll see is a paycheck. And as I said earlier, the goal is about 3,400 for him. So Taylor here is only 66% to his goal. What that is coming from is the fact that his savings that he's put into the 401k plan is projected to earn him about $411 a month that he can withdraw. The contributions that Prairie's making is on track to provide him another $192. And his Social Security is estimated to be about $1,560. That's a better estimate the further you are from actually collecting Social Security. So if you're about to collect Social Security and you can see that this number is wrong, what you would do is you would click on the Social Security and just say, nope, I don't want that to be included, and it pulls it out and actually just completely ruins the presentation. But that'll come back. And so, so you can just take that out, and then what you would do is you would add it back in by adding in an income source through other assets, if you have a better number for Social Security. So that's something that I would highly suggest you call me about and have me help walk you through how to do that. But in this case, we're going to turn that back on, and we're going to notice that Taylor's didn't need to roll other monies into this plan for the fact that he could incorporate those dollars into his planning. And so you can add, like I was saying, outside accounts to here. And when Taylor's gone through and done this, it turns out that Taylor's, again, got this income gap. That's what we're trying to close. So how do you do that? Well, first, Taylor recognizes that he's 30. His full retirement age for retirement is 67. And he's like 3 out of 4 Americans that I told you about earlier and says, hey, I'm going to work that long. So he's going to go ahead and move his slider to 67. And that helped. So Taylor now is 76% to his goal. But Taylor wants to be even better than that. So he's going to click on his contributions here and move his sliders. Well, he's already got some before tax contributions. Let's add some Roth contributions, like Darren was saying. And it turns out that he needs to add 6% more in Roth contributions to be projected to fully meet his goal of retirement income. Now, what I like to see is that, yeah, that's going to equal $1,300 more a month in retirement, but what is that going to cost Taylor today? That's the important question, right? How's that going to affect your paycheck right now? And it tells you that right down here so that you can make an educated decision as to if that can be afforded in your budget this month. Taylor says, yeah, you know, I can deal with that. I'm willing to save $272 a month right now, and it's going to give me $1,300 a month in retirement. And so he's going to go ahead and hit review changes and submit that change. Then your HR department is going to get an email saying, hey, I made this change, and you don't have to do anything else. You've already done your part, and it'll take place like magic at that point, basically.
So yeah, your department knows that you're going to work till 67.
Absolutely. There's a contract on there. You can
That's
see
in
that?
blood.
Yeah, that's in blood.
Yeah. And
And that's how Bill is doing this. That's why kept you electricians working longer.
now, that's a pretty neat tool in terms of just from your kitchen table or wherever your computer's set up, you can get a pretty decent idea of what kind of income you can get from your retirement. That was a really expensive financial planning software that only people like me could help you do just 4 or 5 years ago. So now you've got the power to do that right in your own home.
Yeah, and he spent too much time on Social Security, guys. So he was 4 minutes and 30 seconds. If you left Social Security alone, you could have done it in about 3.5 minutes. So I mean, it really is pretty intuitive.
The other thing you can do here is click on this My Accounts page. And what it'll do is it'll just give you a dashboard of everything that you want to know about your 401k, what your balance is, what your rate of return is, what you're on track to save for the year, what is the limit this year,
What's your
you need to
percent?
change your
What's your
beneficiaries.
percent?
Yeah, what your contribution percentage is. And if you're applying for a mortgage, they'll ask you to go get some statements. You can find those here. And so pretty much everything you'd want to find out about your 401k plan is available on this My Accounts. I also know that you've got a wellness campaign going on, and financial wellness is definitely part of that. So there's also this link here of Me and My Money, which has a wealth of information in terms of budgeting calculators and loan calculators if you're thinking of going out and taking a car loan or something along those lines. So there's just, again, just a wealth of information available to you. So that's the website. Does anybody have any questions on that in particular?
I'm assuming this is the same place that you're managing your investments is down there on the left.
Yeah, exactly. You can view and manage your investments. You can see all of the details for each of the funds. If you clicked on this one, you'd get access to the prospectus, which is all the legal information that they need to share with you when you're thinking of investing in a fund, and it explains to you what the risks are associated with any investment. It'll tell you what your current balance is, what your future allocation is, and if you want to change your investments, you can do that right here as well. So all of the interactions that you want to have with your 401k, you can do on this website. If you don't like websites and you'd rather just call it in, you can do that too. You can call the 800 number for Empower, and on the back table there, I've got a worksheet there that has the number to calling Empower if you need to. And of course, it's got our number as well for for getting a hold of us.
But it also allows you, before you go online, it actually gives you just a quick worksheet. It actually lists the funds in order of risk, okay, on that sheet, and you can make your selections even before you go online. So literally, you can get this done in hopefully less than 5 minutes if you want to make changes or something like that.
So, with all that said, there is just one message I want you to take away from today, and that is go on the website. Just get logged in. Get an idea of what your current 401k situation is, and that, in and of itself, will drive our next conversations. Darren and I are coming back next week and just making ourselves available for one-on-one discussions with each of you. I welcome you all to take advantage of that. If you are going to take advantage of that, we would just suggest that you go on this weekend and get online so that we can make the most of our conversation once we are sitting down with you.
Sign up and get your password.
Yeah. But other than that, we just want to, thank you for your business. And again, take advantage of it. We're happy to help.
Questions? Questions?
It's nice outside.
Thank
Enjoy
you
the
guys.
sun.
Thank you.